Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 4, Episode 12 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 12. But before I actually start talking about it, I'm going to mention this right now, right off the top. Since we're on the final episode for Season 4, this is also going to be the last video I do for this season before I start Season 5. However, I'm probably not gonna start watching if I have time today, I'll start watching season 5 after I've uploaded this video, but if not, I might have to wait till tomorrow. But anyway, after season 4, 5, and 6, the rest of the seasons that I'll be covering from season 7 to season 10 will have 13 episodes apiece. So after this season, I'll just have 2 more full seasons that aren't over 13 episodes long to cover. And then the rest of the seasons from season 7 to season 10 are basically 13 episodes. So when I get to season 7 for Futurama, I might do some side projects while I still work on it. I just wanted to mention that before I actually started talking about the actual video. Now, I'm actually going to get into the actual video here. I'm sorry I got off topic there for a minute, but I just figured I'd explain what I was going to be doing. Anyway, this is History of Futurama Season 4, Episode 12 of my show, which is also going to be about Episode 12. And Episode 12 in Season 4 is known as Where No Fan Has Gone Before, and basically this episode, basically a lot of this episode had to do with flashbacks, basically. Essentially, the entirety of this episode up until near the ending part of it is a flashback. And the reason why I say and I'm going to explain why when I get into that, but anyway, actually, I think I'll explain now why, because basically, they're basically, the way this episode starts is Zap Brannigan is court-martialing the members of the Planet Express crew to find out what got them to that point. So that's what I mean when I say this episode is mostly just flashbacks up till this point. Anyway, basically what happens is, basically Zap is telling the accused who is trying to explain how things got the way they did, and then basically Fry is basically telling his segment of the story, and basically what happens is, in his segment of the flashback, what happens is they're at this video store. He, Leela, and Bender are at this video store picking up videos to watch back at the Planet Express building. And basically Leela tells them to hurry up with that stuff because they have to be back at the Planet Express building in time. And then basically, Fry basically tells them, he's like, you know what my first, you want to know what my favorite movie is of all time? The first 6 Star Trek movies. And then everyone basically does this collective gasp where they're like, and then basically Leela covers down, like, Leela and the rest of the people inside the video store covered, like, they go underground, and Leela's telling Fry, shush, those words are forbidden! And then basically, Fry, being the idiot he is in the flashback, mentions the name again, Star Trek, basically. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I just find it kind of hilarious about that. And then basically Bender hears this siren noise and he's like, that sound! It's patrol car 718! Hide him! And then basically what happens is, after that, basically what happens after that is it goes back into the present scene, and basically what happens is Zap explained that they're all intrigued about these forbidden words, and he mentioned that they should hear from the voice, and basically George basically one of the Star Trek actors George named George in the series, he said that the show was banned after the Star Trek Wars, and then basically that mentioned about the convention of Star Wars fans, and then the female, one of the female actors, the only female actor in the original Star Trek that I'm aware of, she mentioned that no, that was the Star Wars Trek, and then there's this basically this little video montage about how those words became forbidden and stuff, and I'm not gonna go over all of that because it's kind of a little confusing in a sense that basically essentially what happened was a lot of people started watching the Star Trek stuff, and then I guess it's more and more people watched it, and so on and so forth, and because of that it was banned, and then the original tapes were cast to the space, and then basically after that they're basically having for a continuous tale, and basically when it gets back to where his flashback is, he basically goes to where Leonard Nimoy is, and then after they have this little spat where basically Fry outwits him, and the funny thing about that is, oh my god, the way he outwits him is by saying Vincent Van Fuck, which he means Vincent Van Gogh, and then basically Fry's like, you can't escape it! And then he starts crying, because he says yes, and then he starts crying basically. And then Fry wonders why he's crying, because, okay, yeah, he outwitted him, but he said that's not the reason why he's crying in the episode. The reason why he's crying is because years ago, the fellow cast members of the original Star Trek series, his fellow cast members left the Earth behind, basically. And that's why they're and in the flashback, William Shatner basically tells Nimoy that the planet doesn't appreciate them anymore. And Nimoy tells him that he's his friend, but he always says it, but he just signed a week-long rental agreement on his apartment, and he can't back up from that. So that's the reason why he's still on Earth, basically, is because of a rental agreement with the apartment, contractual thing. But anyway, and basically after he leaves in the next when the flashback ends, basically what happened, when that flashback, inside the flashback ends, he was sobbingly said that why did the world have to turn them away from their obvious greatness, and then Fry basically gets upset about that, and then basically he mentioned that the rest of the cast may be gone, but it can still get Star Trek to the world for them to see, and then basically he takes Nimoy with him and plans to go to the planet where it's located, which is Omega 3. Oh my god. And then basically Leela is explaining that he can't go to Omega 3 because it's forbidden, and she says she forbids him from doing that, which is kind of redundant, because if it's a forbidden planet, and if it's in forbidden space, then it's saying that she forbids him from going is rather redundant. Oh my god. Anyway, but Fry basically explains that they have to because of that they only Star Trek to get the future, but Leo said that it's set thousands of years in the past, and then basically Bender wonders why this is so important to him. And then basically Fry explains, one of the things that Fry explains is that it taught him so much and about accept equality and stuff like that. But the actual part that I take out of this, that I actually find humorous in a sense, is what he says is, basically what he says is that when he didn't have any friends, the show actually made him seem like he did. So in a nerdy sense, for someone who didn't have any friends in the year 2000 at the time, and if you find friends in a weird way connected with a TV show kind of thing, with it makes sense anyway. And then Leela says that because of that was so pathetic, she might as well go along with them. And then Bender basically agrees to go with them as well, with Leonard's permission, of course. And they agree, and then they go to Omega 3 basically. And then basically this animated voice is telling them, "Warning, you are entering forbidden space." And then Bender's like, "Forbidden Schmore Schmidden. What are you gonna do?" And then basically they get pulled, their ship gets pulled down, and that's where, I believe that's where Bender's segment, because I think the part of it where I was talking was Bender's segment, and because the part where they were traveling from the ship to Omega 3 was probably where Bender was talking and stuff. Well, actually, no, that ended the part where Fry was talking and technically started the part where Bender was talking. But anyway, and then that also, now that I got into the part with Bender, I'm going to mention, he actually started talking normally, but Zap got annoyed with him about that because he was like, "Please use the beep." And then Bender gets annoyed that he has to use the beep function in order to talk. Because he was doing the talking fine before the beep. But Zap basically forced him to it. And then basically, getting back into it, after the ship crashes on the planet, basically what happens is after that, basically what happens after that, is they find set pieces from the Star Trek show, and then they come up, and then they meet the cast members of the original show, and then basically Nimoy is happy to see them, and then basically, but one of the characters that comes through the portal isn't actually from the original cast, because the character that comes out for this segment of the episode is known as Welshie. And then basically, Fry wonders about that, and then basically, Michelle basically explains, the female Star Trek character basically explains, the actor played, which is Miss, Michelle basically, she explains that basically, they did some musical reunion episodes back in the late 2200s, but and this is the part where it actually gets funny. Apparently, the actor who portrayed Scotty at that point, he had trouble yodeling in the episode. So because of that, that's how well they ended up as a member of their group. And then basically they're wondering how they ended up there. And then basically, William Shatner is explaining that they were on their way to, well, she's cousin's place to spend a night in the guest room when their ship was pulled down. Just like the Planet Express cruise was, and then when they woke up, they had those bodies. Oh my god. And then basically they say that they like it because they never age, and then basically said that Evan showed his ass. So basically he rips off his shirt, and then Bender gets astounded by his muscles basically, and then basically Leela wonders who is doing this for them, and then basically that's when this voice is like, "It is I," and basically the being that's doing this to them is a sort of a greenish like energy being. And this is the funniest part of it. The green energy being that's doing the most this for them is like a Star Trek fanboy after he sees after he sees the shows, the VHS tape version of the shows and everything, and the entity is named Melbar. And apparently, in terms of it, it's the way he spells it is Melbar with 3 L's. Oh my god. Oh, I'm sorry, but I kinda had to giggle up at that because that's hilarious. And then basically Bender's like, "Whoa, what a cheesy effect." And then basically Melvar gets angry with Bender and he's like, "I am not an effect! You doubt my power?" And then Bender says he does. And then Bender says that he does, and basically Melvar basically zaps Welky, killing him in the process. Oh. So in a sense, Bender got Welky killed because he thought that Melvar was just an effect and not real in the first place. So in a sense, he got him killed because of him. Oh, like he goaded him to do that. If he hadn't done that, well, she would have still been alive in the episode, but he wasn't. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but anyway, in the next scene, what basically happens is that's when Bender's segment of the episode is done talking, and then basically in the next scene, that's where the final member of the 3 that are on trial, which is Leela, basically starts her segment, and basically after Zap mentioned about Leela and their relationship before, this is the funny part. Leela actually doesn't actually say the F word to him, but she uses the beeper on the thing to say the F word because she's like, "Go bleep yourself." Oh my god. I get it though because it's a TV. It's a TV 14 adult animated cartoon, so they probably didn't want to use the F word in this in a series for that, which honestly makes sense. But the way this was implemented with the beep of the machine, that just made it so funny. Oh my god, I'm sorry. That's enough though. Anyway, then her segment of the flashback starts again, and then basically Melvar in the flashback is telling them that, behold, another power, different than the one you saw before. And then basically he uses his power to basically give Leonard Nimoy his body back. Now I should mention this about the bodies. Since in this series they're technically heads without bodies, the bodies actually weigh themselves down. Now the reason why I'm mentioning that is because that leads into what happens with them having to get on the ship, but they can't take off with the ship. But I'm going to explain why about that later. I just wanted to quickly mention it since I brought up the thing with the bodies and stuff. And then basically what happens is after he gets his body, basically Melvar basically says that he's watched all of the episodes, so he knows. So he brought the original character Star Trek here, because part of his little convention kind of thing, and because he's the best Star Trek fan, and then basically Fry says that he is, and then basically for the rest of this episode, up until the point, sorry if you heard that burp there. I just had a little bit of gas bubble from the mouth coming up. That's why I burped like that. If you heard that in the video, I apologize. Anyway, so basically I'm just gonna get into Fry's segment here for a second. Basically for the rest of this episode, including the last segment of it where they're in the present timeline with through all the flashbacks, basically Fry is in a competing contest with Melvar to remember all of the names of all the episodes. Oh my god. And the reason I'm bringing that up is because of what happens later in the episode. In the flashback, anyway, basically what happens is after Nimoy is given a fake body that is sort of like his own, because like I said, in the Futurama series, the cast members are technically just heads without bodies, so the bodies are basically, that they have are technically prosthetic, in a sense. Basically what happens is Melvar basically does this little convention thing, and having them sign autographs for him and stuff, and basically then it gets, and then basically, he and the Melvar and Fry enter into it as a part of the convention. They enter into like a trivia contest thing, and then basically Fry basically wins like $6 in quadus. Oh my god! Which I think is another way of this terminology of games, of TV shows, money and stuff. And then basically after that what happens is Melvar basically explains that the Star Trek will recreate Star Trek in script and written by the Ultimate Fan, and then Fry wonders if he has his script, but then Melvar tells Fry that he's the Ultimate Fan, and then Fry's like, oh, I was just wondering because the score said different. Oh my god. So basically they leave. Because Melvar doesn't want them around to know what the ending is. And then basically after they leave, Fry tells them that they can't leave them there, but they can't. But Leela says they have to because they can't. They don't know of a way to rescue them and stuff. And then basically Fry basically explains that usually on the show what would happen was someone would come up with a plan. Oh, I can take my clothes now if you want. Sorry.
I didn't want to interrupt.
That's okay. Okay. Anyway, um, basically what happened in the show was someone would come up with a plan and then explain it with a complex analogy. Oh my god, I'm sorry. And if you guys saw that moment in the video where I paused for a sec, I'm sorry, I just had to take my pills, so that's kind of why I'm apologizing right now. If you saw that brief pause there in the middle of this recording, that was because I had to take my pills and stuff. So again, I apologize about that. Anyway, basically they come up with this plan that basically has to do with disrupting Melvar's ionic field using something from their ship, and they use it and blast him, which basically causes him to fizzle out, and which in turn causes their plan to not work. And basically in both of those instances, Fry makes certain analogy references, and then after that they accidentally crash back down on the ship because of that, because they were pulled down by Melvar's gravity. And then basically what happens is, after that, they're wondering how the episode's going, and then Melvar says, well, here he stands with a bunch of ostrich actors, while they, a team of non-TV centric heroes, was able to outwit him. And then basically Fry wonders if that means he'll let them all go, and then Melvar basically tells them that he won't, because in order to prove which of them is more worthy of him, they will all face each other in a fight to the death. And then Bender basically wonders where he got the idea of death from out of the Star Trek thing, and then basically he starts referencing a bunch of episodes. I can't remember the actual amount of numbers in the episodes that he mentions, but I do remember that Fry mentions episode. After that, he's like, good list, except you forgot episode 66! And then basically Melvar gets angry with Fry about that, and he's like, I was getting to that one, and then he zaps Welshie again, after he zapped him once before, basically causing him to explode. Anyway, basically what happens is after that, then in the next scene, it starts in the present timeline, and then basically what happens is Zap is saying, Zap basically tells Leela that Melvar ordered a fight to the death. He assumes no one survived, and then basically Leela's like, can we get on with this, please? My foot is getting tired. And then they basically for most of this flashback up until the part where they decide to work together after Melvar leaves, basically Melvar is watching them fight each other, but then basically what happens is this pink energy mask comes out and basically tells this female pink energy mask comes to him and tells them that it's dinner time, and then basically everybody's like, oh, but Mom, I'm playing with my collectibles, and then and then basically Vi basically said that all this time they thought he was just a benevolent energy being, but he was just a child. And then basically his mom said that he's not a child, he's 34. And then basically after she leaves, Fry basically tells them that they come up with a plan to escape, but because basically what happens is Bender is basically taking Walter Koenig by the throat at this point, and he's like, all right, Koenig, I've wanted to do this for years. But Fry basically stops him from doing what he was about to do, and basically tells them that in order for them to escape, they all have to work together. And so they basically go find Leela and William Shatner, who were fighting at first, and then basically Fry explains to them that they decided to work together, and then after that they come up with this plan to escape Melvar's planet using the parts from their ships that do work and combining them in order to get off the planet. And then after that, what happens is Melvar sees that they had left the planet after that, and then basically Fry's like, I think it's either Fry or Leela, but one of them mentions like, it's Melvar and he's got a ship. And then basically Melvar's like, yes, in mint condition, and you made me take it out of the package. And then that's when they fly over to the Nimbus. And then Leela's getting ecstatic about that because she thinks they're safe, but Zap tells them that they're under arrest and they have to prepare to be boarded. And then that leads into the present circumstance because Zap is like, so I boarded you, eh? Then what happened? And then Leela's like, you started this stupid court-martial. Now if you don't mind, we're busy fighting Melvar. We're so busy fighting Melvar. And then basically what happens is after that, is Melvar's still sort of blasting them, and he's telling them over the intercom that if he can't have this cast of Star Trek Next Generation, the original Star Trek cast, then no one can. And then basically, Fry wonders if he likes them so much, why is he willing to destroy them? And then basically, Melvar explains that because he couldn't think of anything to do without them. And then basically, Fry explains to Melvar that he can't let one TV show live his life. He has to move past it. And then basically, he mentions about Walter Koenig. After the show, he became an actor, not just an actor, but a very well-rounded person. And then Melvar basically explains that, well, I guess I could move out of my parents' basement, get a desk job. And then basically, Fry's like, whoa, one thing at a time. And then he basically tells Fry that he thanks him and that they are of a kind. In another lifetime he would have called him friend. And then basically Fry says about episode 10 of the Star Trek series, but then Mel was like, more like episode 9, loser, and then he leaves basically. And then afterward, the cast of Star Trek basically explains that it wasn't such a bad place as it was. And then basically they explain about the good things about it, but then Fry mentions the one bad thing about it was they'd have to only put up with one and a half Star Trek fan. And because of that, he was says that let's get out of here, and then that's basically where this episode stops. Which is oh my god, that is just so funny. I'm sorry, but that's just hilarious. Anyway, the fact that they decide to leave after the fact that they only had to put up with one Star Trek fan who was also really annoying. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm done laughing about that. I'm just so funny. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. But so until season 5, so just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys probably not tomorrow, but maybe sometime in the next couple of weeks for my season 5 set of videos for Futurama. But until then, guys, like I always tell you with this series, just please give this video the real best you guys can. And like I always tell you with this series, fun on a bun, and I'll see you in season 5. Until then, ciao!